Welcome to part 4 of my Acceleracers collectible card game card ranking series. The last times we looked at the Metal Maniacs, the Teku, and the Silencers, and I of course laid down the rules for the base stat rankings. Again, for more in-depth detail on this, see the Metal Maniacs video. And of course we also looked in the Teku video at how I compared two vehicles of very similar stats in the adjusted rankings in terms of realm advantages and instant wins. For that, see the Teku video. And the Silencers wasn't really much to go on, so here's a simple recap of all of those rankings thus far, before we move into the drones this video. So in the drones with the base stats, in dead last for the drones fleet is RD04 with stats roughly equivalent to Vector Excellium, which we saw in the Silencers. Up next we see RD03 and RD04's upgraded form, and the rest of the detriment values of two vehicles. So similar to Nightlife, which we saw in the Teku video, people may not be fans of me sticking RD08 so far back, but that number 2 stat, especially in its performance value, remember that performance has one extra realm than all the others. Although some may debate that since it's Metro realm, you're not going to be coming up against it, but again, this is more so for if you have access to every card. This is in general stats. If you're playing Tabletop Simulator, you'll have access to Metro realm. And so, especially in that performance value, with this one extra realm, it's just too much of a detriment in competitive play. And that goes the same pretty much for all of these values of 2. Otherwise, a value 3 is not that bad, which is why we see a lot more even stats, especially in adjusted rankings when we get to that. So then we see RD03 Plus just behind RD07 for that terrain bonus percentage. Again, rough is 16% and slick is 20%. Further up we see RD08 V2 with its boosted performance, making it viable in casual play but not competitive. Again, for competitive play you'd want stuff down at the top of the rankings. Increasing terrain bonus percentages brings us up through RD03 V2, and the modability percentage, all terrain drones having access to 30% of mods in the game versus race drones 32.5%, is what puts RD01 over RD09 plus. Once again, I thought I'd simply mention again, this is a decent ability, but we're not looking at abilities and base stats. So further up we see RD09 V2, the drone's ghost rare just barely making the top 5, but just like with its base counterpart, it lags behind RD01 V2. And so similar to the Silencers, the drones, unlike the Metal Maniacs and Teku, their ghost rare is not their best vehicle. And so then finally we see at the top 3 for the drones is RD06 V2, RD02, and its upgraded counterpart with that crazy 7 power stat. Not many cards have a 7 in their stats, hence why this is the pride and joy of the drone fleet. But before we move on to adjusted, I did mention that we will be looking at some playing style themes of the racing teams. And so first I want to look at the Metal Maniacs. They showcase the most well-rounded playing style, featuring cards that excel in speed, power, and performance. As we see, they've got basically not exactly an even mixture. I think they don't run too many speed ones, but they have the capability to deal with anything. And in addition, these road monsters showcase dual modability on many of their cards, giving the player a greater chance to draw the necessary cards to win. And even more than that, their support ability vehicles emphasize regaining multiple mods with Torqued Hollowback, or at the very least just as one mod with its regular counterpart, and sharing mods in play with Torqued Rolling Thunder, especially without modability rules applying at that point. Or if you want modability rules from a weaker card, regular Rolling Thunder. But nonetheless, since this is also dual modability itself, the potential for Metal Maniacs is so well rounded and just so high up there. I would recommend Metal Maniacs big time if you're playing a themed deck. But I will say, oddly enough, their playstyle is a bit slow, given that they account for all scenarios, whereas the other teams specialize in only one, and so only have to stack cards for the other SPP values. So for instance, with the Teku, they emphasize speed, as we see a whole bunch of 6 and even 7 values in their speed, but they sacrifice power and performance. And so, when you're dealing with the Teku, for most realms, you only need to stack the deck with power and performance cards because your Teku will be flying right through those realms with instant wins left and right. It really, honestly, doesn't get any simpler for a Teku deck, given that their only mod return card is just your average return 1 mod. And its base version, though, only returns a speed mod. Once again, they just heavily emphasize that speed. Meanwhile, the special vehicle, which in this case is hyper high voltage as compared to Torch Rolling Thunder, it only helps itself, it doesn't help the team. And so, I mean, sure, holding on to ships, treating them like mods is decent, but for Teku, you really just go on speed and just trying to boost your power and performance on the side. So, if you want easy speed, run the Teku. Meanwhile, the Silencers are a performance-based deck, with their mod returner doing the same or being the average one mod type. So you see salvage 1 mod, and its base form will salvage a performance mod. Their gimmick, though, for their special vehicle is the Technetiums, and so you can hold up to 9 cards in your hand with Vector Technetium and 8 cards with the base value, which greatly improves the amount of possibilities that a driver has. That said, though, in competitive play this might not matter, as one would be using cards quick and so likely wouldn't even reach the base cap of 7. But for those who want to be prepared in the long game, have cards for every situation ready, you may want to consider a Silencer's themed deck. And if nothing else, for the casual player, the Technetiums are a great asset to have. And finally, the drones, as we have been looking at, they emphasize power, as we see a whole bunch of power stats sacrificing speed and performance. And their mod returner does the same. In this case, the advanced one is salvage any mod, but of course the base form is salvage a power mod. But their gimmick specifically, quite relevant to the drones, is hazard cards. Audio 3 returns 1 hazard, and Audio 3v2 returns 2 hazards. And so, inflict as much damage to enemy vehicles as possible. That damage is the main appeal of the drone fleet. That said, that is also their downfall, because if you're committing so many resources toward stopping your opponent, you're going to end up using up your APs that you might use to boost your cards into the next realm. And so you may want to be careful not to overcommit to your foul play when playing as the drones. Now additionally, careful observers of all these teams may see the most important similarity across all of them, but we will cover that in the final video ranking all 86 cards. But for those who see it, those cards are the only ones that you'll likely need to actually win if you have the perfect deck. Moving into the adjusted rankings, we are keeping the basic ability cards back for the detriment values. Again, the simple specific type of mod, return 1 mod, return 1 hazard, it's all well and good, but at that detriment value of 2, it's just not a good enough ability to override that in any capacity. One really doesn't need simple card return gimmicks to win anyway compared to straight up high ass BP values. So the first change we see is Audio 7v2 dropping all the way behind Audio 5v2 because of the Monument Realm, as the Sand Terrain bonus gives it an instant win. And as usual, here I prioritize 1 instant win for up to about 3 realm advantages, and Audio 7v2 only has 1 more realm advantage than Audio 5v2, so that instant win takes the victory. But aside from that, these two are pretty even across the board. So similarly, additional instant wins from the Water Terrain bonus is what is boosting Audio 8v2 over Audio 10. Although Audio 10 has 2 additional realm advantages over Audio 8v2, the extra 2 instant wins override that. Those extra 2 being in the Pipeline realm and the Water realm. Audio 3v2 doesn't advance, although getting pack 2 hazards is pretty busted. But again, getting through more realms remains slightly more important here, as Audio 9 has 1 more, Audio 9 Plus has 1 more realm advantage, including an instant win in the Warped realm, than Audio 3v2. So the final change then is Audio 6v2 moving into second place, overtaking Audio 2, as its terrain bonuses give it a 40% boost in gameplay, making it far more likely to win over Audio 2 despite its lacking speed. But Audio 2v2's upgraded power stat leaves Audio 6v2 in the dust, proving which is still the best in the drone's fleet. So, next video will be the final one of the series where I showcase every vehicle, which is the best, which is the worst, and give some final tips on what deck is statistically the best in the game. So, look forward to it.